The planet Saron 4, with its twin suns casting a pale golden glow across the settlement, was a peculiar blend of human ingenuity and alien elegance. The humans had established their colony on one side of the temperate valley, while the Valoran, a race of shimmering bioluminescent beings, occupied the other. The two civilizations had coexisted for nearly a decade, their collaboration marked more by cautious diplomacy than true friendship. Danny Calder, an engineer in his early 30s, was known for his knack for machines and his aversion to socializing. His quarters were more of a workshop than a living space, cluttered with half assembled drones, tools scattered across the floor, and a faint smell of engine grease. On this particular evening, Danny had spent hours repairing a water purification unit and collapsed onto his bed without bothering to cover himself properly. He was fast asleep when Arian, the Valan emissary, stepped into his room. Arian moved with the graceful precision of her kind, her translucent web robe flowing like water around her bioluminescent skin. Her large, opalescent eyes adjusted quickly to the dim light in Danny's quarters. The Valan Council had tasked her with understanding human engineering practices, but she had decided to visit unannounced, curious about the enigmatic man who had so often been described as brilliant but odd. The room was a chaotic mess by Valan standards, and Arian's delicate senses were overwhelmed by the sharp tang of metal and oil. She stepped carefully over scattered tools, her gaze drawn to the slumbering human on the bed. Then she saw it. Her keen vision caught sight of an exposed part of his anatomy, something entirely unfamiliar to her species. Valan did not possess internal reproductive organs. Their method of reproduction involved external biopods that required no physical intimacy. What lay before her was both shocking and fascinating. Her first instinct was to retreat, but curiosity held her in place. Her luminous skin pulsed faintly, a sign of heightened interest among her kind. She tilted her head, her opalescent eyes narrowing as she tried to understand the function of this strange human appendage. "Is this a tool?" she whispered aloud, her voice soft and melodic. The sound of her voice stirred Dan. His eyes fluttered open, and for a moment he stared groggily at the glowing figure standing by his bed. "Who are you?" Arian's voice was hoarse and thick with sleep. Then, as consciousness returned, he realized the situation. "Oh, crap!" In a flurry of motion, Dan grabbed a nearby blanket and covered himself, his face turning a shade of red so deep it rivaled the planet's scarlet sunsets. "What the hell are you doing in my room?" he demanded, his embarrassment sharpening his tone. Arian didn't flinch. Valoran were unaccustomed to human notions of modesty, and Danny's reaction only deepened her curiosity. "I was sent to observe your work," she replied calmly, her voice tinged with genuine curiosity. "But I was not prepared to observe this." Her gaze flipped downward, and Danny groaned, pulling the blanket tighter around himself. "Okay, first off, that's not something you just observe, Arian," he said, running a hand through his messy hair. "It's private. Humans don't just walk into each other's rooms without knocking, especially when someone's asleep." Her skin pulsed a soft lavender, an indication of apology. "I did not intend to cause offense. I was merely curious." "Is it a tool?" Danny stared at her, dumbfounded. "A tool? No, it's not a tool. It's—" He trailed off, unsure how to explain human anatomy without making the situation even more awkward. "Look, it's part of my body. That's all you need to know." "But what is its purpose?" "Are you impressed?" Her scientific curiosity overriding any sense of decorum. Danny sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. "It's biological, reproductive. I don't think this is the kind of conversation we should be having right now." Cultural misunderstandings. Arian tilted her head, her glowing patterns shifting in a way that Dan had come to recognize as her version of a frown. "Reproductive? I do not understand. Valen reproduce through external biopods. We have no need for physical integration." "Well, humans are different," Dana muttered, still clutching the blanket like a lifeline. "We, require a more hands-on approach." Arian's curiosity deepened. "Hands-on? You mean there's a physical process involved?" Danny groaned. "Can we please not talk about this right now?" Her lavender glow brightened slightly, a sign of amusement. "Your discomfort is intriguing. Do humans find discussions of reproduction embarrassing?" "Yes," Dan snapped, then softened his tone. "I mean, it's bold the all story."